Locals tell stories. Stories of a house, a derelict manor, swallowed by weeds and shadows, perched on the edge of hemlock wood. They whisper of the family that lived there, driven mad by grief, driven to unspeakable acts. But the most chilling rumor whispers of a room, painted red, soaked in the color of rage and madness. They say it's a conduit, a place where the veil between worlds wears thin. They say that once you step inside the red room, you never truly leave. They say many things, most dismiss it as folklore, the ramblings of frightened minds. But rumors have a way of taking root, of burrowing deep. They fester in the dark, waiting for a curious soul to unearth them. Tonight, they found their host. Rain lashed against the windscreen, blurring the headlights' feeble attempt to pierce the oppressive darkness. Each droplet seemed to drum a warning on the glass, as if the night itself was trying to keep intruders at bay. The world outside was a shifting canvas of shadows and watery reflections, the road ahead vanishing into a black void. Inside the car, the air was thick with anticipation, the only certainty, the relentless rhythm of the storm. Inside the car, Amelia White, paranormal investigator extraordinaire, or at least that's what her YouTube banner proclaimed, adjusted her beanie and smiled into the camera. Her hands trembled just slightly, betraying a cocktail of nerves and excitement. She'd spent weeks researching this location, poring over old newspaper clippings and ghost forums, and now, finally, she was here. The glow from her phone screen cast eerie shadows across her face, making her look both determined and vulnerable. "All right, folks, so here we are," she announced, her voice a touch too loud in the confined space. She tried to sound confident, but the quiver in her tone was unmistakable. "I know a lot of you have been waiting for this one," she added, glancing nervously at the rain-streaked window. "Tonight, we're going to see if the legends are true." Hemlock Manor, said to be one of the most haunted locations in England, and tonight, we're going to find out why. The manor loomed in the distance, its silhouette jagged against the stormy sky, every window a dark, watching eye. Stories of ghostly apparitions, unexplained noises, and chilling cold spots had drawn thrill-seekers for decades, but few dared to stay after midnight. She cut the engine, the sudden silence amplifying the eerie creaking of the wind through the nearby trees. The car's interior felt like a fragile bubble of safety, about to burst. For a moment, Amelia just listened. To the wind, to her own heartbeat, to the distant rumble of thunder. She wondered if she was truly ready for what waited beyond those ancient doors. A shiver danced down her spine, a mixture of excitement and apprehension. This was her most ambitious investigation yet. She'd explored abandoned hospitals and shadowy forests, but nothing with a reputation like Hemlock Manor. The stakes felt higher, the air heavier, as if the house itself was aware of her presence and waiting for her to make the first move. "Legend has it that this place is crawling with paranormal activity," she continued, her voice hushed now. "People say they've seen shadows moving in the halls, heard voices whispering their names, even felt icy hands brush against their skin." She leaned closer to the camera, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and fascination. "But there's one story that's particularly disturbing." She paused, building suspense for her unseen audience. "It's the one that keeps even the bravest ghost hunters away," she whispered, letting the silence stretch. "The one that no one wants to talk about after dark. The legend of the Red Room. A place where, according to rumor, reality and nightmare blur, and those who enter are never quite the same again." Tonight, Amelia was determined to uncover the truth, no matter what waited for her in the shadows. The air inside the house was heavy, thick with the smell of decay and something else, something vaguely metallic. Amelia swept her camera across the scene. Cobwebs draped like macabre tapestries, furniture draped in dust sheets, the faint outline of a handprint etched in grime on the wall. "Wow," she breathed, her voice echoing unnervingly in the silence. "This place is intense." She moved deeper into the house, each footstep kicking up dust motes that danced in the beam of her camera light. The silence was broken only by the creaking of floorboards beneath her feet and the frantic thumping of her own heart. "Right, let's see if we can find this infamous Red Room," she muttered, her usual bravado faltering slightly. The house seemed to resist her, as if the very walls were alive with secrets they refused to share. Every step she took felt heavier, the air thick with the weight of memories and things left unsaid. Each turn led to another dead end, the corridors twisting and looping back on themselves, as if the house was deliberately trying to confuse her, to keep her lost within its labyrinthine heart. She found herself in another dusty room, frozen in time, where the furniture sat shrouded in dust and cobwebs, untouched for decades, as if waiting for someone who would never return. The oppressive silence was broken by intermittent sounds, a floorboard groaning above, echoing through the emptiness like a distant warning. The skittering of something small in the walls, perhaps a rat or something far less explainable, made her skin crawl. A low growl, barely audible, seemed to rise from the shadows themselves, sending a chill down her spine and making her question whether she was truly alone. She stopped, holding her breath, listening intently as her heart pounded in her ears, the silence now thick with anticipation. "Did you hear that?" she whispered, her voice barely more than a breath, afraid that anything louder might awaken something lurking in the darkness. Her voice trembled in the heavy air, the words dissolving almost instantly, swallowed by the oppressive gloom that pressed in from all sides. The only response was the mournful sigh of the wind whistling through a crack in the wall, carrying with it the scent of rot and forgotten years. She continued her exploration, determined to uncover the truth behind the house's madness. Her camera light cut through the gloom, the narrow beam illuminating fragments of the past, shattered glass, broken toys, and faded photographs scattered across the floor. The light revealed faded grandeur and encroaching decay in equal measure, ornate moldings now crumbling, a grand staircase lost beneath layers of dust and neglect. Then she saw it, scrawled on the wall in what looked disturbingly like dried blood. A single word, "Beware," stood out starkly against the peeling wallpaper, a warning from the past or a threat for the present. Her heart hammered against her ribs, each beat echoing the terror that now gripped her, as if the house itself was alive and watching. This wasn't just an abandoned house, it was a crypt, a place where the past refused to die, and where every shadow seemed to whisper of tragedies long buried. A tomb of forgotten horrors, waiting for someone, anyone, to remember, and perhaps to never leave again. The door was almost hidden, concealed behind a tapestry thick with dust. It looked as though no one had touched it in years, the fabric hanging heavy and unmoving, as if it guarded a secret best left undisturbed. The air was thick, carrying the scent of old wood and something metallic, something that made Amelia's skin prickle with unease. Amelia brushed it aside, her fingers encountering something cold and slick. The sensation sent a shiver up her arm, and for a moment she hesitated, her breath catching as she wondered what could possibly be lurking behind such a carefully hidden entrance. She recoiled, shining her light on the tapestry. The beam revealed more than just dust. It caught on something dark, something that seemed to glisten in the narrow shaft of light, making her heart race. It was stained a deep, unsettling crimson. The color was unmistakable, and it looked fresh in places, as if the room itself was still alive, still remembering. "Oh my God," she breathed, her voice catching in her throat. The words barely escaped her lips, trembling with fear and disbelief. Behind the tapestry, the door was painted a vibrant, almost luminous red. It seemed to pulse in the darkness, drawing her in with a strange magnetic pull, as if daring her to step closer. There was no handle, just a single rusted keyhole. The metal was corroded, edges rough, as though it hadn't been used in decades. It was a silent warning, a barrier that begged to remain closed. As she reached out to touch it, the door creaked open, as if beckoning her inside. The sound echoed down the hallway, a slow, mournful groan that made her heart pound even harder. "This is it," she whispered, her voice trembling. Every instinct screamed at her to turn back, but curiosity, and something deeper, kept her rooted to the spot. "This is the Red Room." The glow from within was eerie, casting long shadows that danced along the walls, hinting at secrets and stories that had never seen the light of day. A wave of dizziness washed over her, and for a moment, the camera slipped from her grasp. The world tilted, the edges of her vision blurring as she fought to steady herself. She caught it just in time, her heart pounding in her ears. The thumping was so loud, she wondered if the camera's microphone would pick it up, betraying her fear to anyone watching. "Are you ready?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. The question hung in the air, heavy with anticipation and dread. She wasn't sure if she was asking her viewers or herself. In that moment, standing before the threshold of the unknown, Amelia realized that some doors, once opened, could never truly be closed again. The room pulsed with a crimson light that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. Amelia stepped inside, the door clicking shut behind her with a sickening finality. The air grew thick, heavy, making it difficult to breathe. She raised her camera, the lens struggling to focus in the strange light. The room was empty save for a single ornate mirror that stretched from floor to ceiling. But as Amelia approached it, she realized with a jolt of horror that the reflection staring back at her wasn't her own. It was her, but twisted, her features stretched into a grotesque mockery of a smile, her eyes burning with an unholy red light. The reflection reached out, its long skeletal fingers scrabbling at the surface of the mirror. Amelia stumbled back, a scream trapped in her throat as the world around her began to distort. The camera flickered, the image on the screen breaking up into a mosaic of static and distorted colors. Amelia's screams were replaced by a guttural growl, her once familiar voice now a rasping echo of something monstrous. "This is it," the voice rasped, the words reaching out from the screen, breaking through the barrier of fiction and reality. "This is where it ends. But it doesn't have to end with you, there's still time. Find the key, destroy the room, before it consumes you too." The image cut to black. Silence. Then a soft clicking sound, like fingernails tapping on glass. Close, very close. It's coming for you. It knows you're watching, and it's hungry.